Five Nights at Freddy's 4 is unlike any other FNaF game before it, with it being the scariest, most complex, and most importantly, hard. I ended up searching the internet for videos of people beating the true 100% run for FNaF 4, and there's only one person I could find that's done this, Alexi73 on speedrun.com. So I hope that this shows you the difficulty of getting all 10 stars, or the true 100% challenge, and I decided that if I were to move on to playing another Five Nights at Freddy's game, then I would give Pokimane 100 gifted, which is over $500. Now I don't want to waste any more time, so let's move on to the first chapter. So I have been playing Five Nights at Freddy's 4 since its release, so I want to actually set a goal of deathless for the first 5 nights, just for a bit of a mini challenge. Now I expect you guys know how the mechanics of this game work, but for those who don't, in short, Bonnie and Chica will come down your halls, and if you hear breathing at your doors, then shut them. But if there is no breathing, then flash the halls. If you end up flashing the animatronics, they will kill you. Freddy has Freddles on the bed, which acts similar to the music box in FNaF 2, with you just having to flash them here and there to push the timer back. Finally, Foxy will run to either your left or right halls with audio panning to the side. If you go to the opposite side of him, then he will get into your closet, which is like a secondary music box, and you just have to close the doors to set the timer back. This of course isn't too hard on the first night, for some of us.
Okay, so the first night is never usually that bad in any of the games, so I'll play through. Ah, fuck! What the fuck? Ah!
Why does this first number go to 52? Now, Plush Trap is a one and done scenario, where if you flash him on the X, then you skip 2 hours of the night, but if you fail, then you have to wait until the next night. And this game seems like trial and error, but there is a way to beat this game mode every single time, and this is by audio. If you hear Plush Trap sprint from one side to the other twice, then start walking, you want to flash him whilst he is walking, just like this. So we now understand how the animatronics work, and for anyone wondering, these are the AI charts of the animatronics. But nights 2 and 3 are pretty much the same, with the difficulty being none to minimal. And the jump from night 1 to 2 is nothing to take awareness of. So the gameplay loop is run left to right, then flash Freddy and check Foxy. Then once you beat the night, go ahead and beat Plush Trap and continue the pattern. So this of course wasn't a problem for the first 4 nights, but night 5 has some feelings about this pattern, with Scott adding Fredbear to the mix. What the? Now, I don't know if you remember when I said I wanted a deathless for the first 5 nights, but I meant it. So what I did instead of retrying it was searching up a tutorial on it. I know, it takes the fun out of it, but I was not here for the fun, but instead, the grind. I ended up pausing the recording and just watched Ambience, and he made me understand everything. So the way Fredbear works is really quite simple. He runs to the side the audio pans to, and if he laughs, then he will teleport to the closet or the bed. However, there are fake laughs mixed in there, so if he runs after a laugh, then it's fake. But that works about 80% of the time, and this seems to be a heated topic in the FNaF 4 community, so I'll just leave my take at that. But instead of dying again, I ended up winning without dying a second time. Yeah, he's out of laughs. Oh crap. That was close. Wow. Now, I would bet my bottom dollar that someone is mad right now that I haven't mentioned these minigames, but I kinda need all the cash I have just in case I need to give Pokimane 100 gifted. We know that's not gonna happen. Anyways, throughout nights 1 through 5, we get an 8-bit Atari style minigame, which tells us about CC's days before his death, with us being jump scared by Michael, being tortured, and just plainly murdered.
Was that the bite of 87?
So beating night 5 gave me 1 of the 10 stars, and true to FNaF there are 7 nights, and night 6 and 7 both give a star, and with night 6 being a step up from night 5, we have to deal with the 4 core animatronics until 4 AM, but then we deal with Fredbear until 6 AM, so with my previous skills from night 3 and 5 I was able to get pretty far without dying, and I ended up dying only thrice, triple screen 1. Why did I say that? And this awarded me with 2 total stars. However, night 7 is practically the same as night 6, but instead of Fredbear, we got Nightmare. Nightmare is the same as Fredbear, but he gives you no reaction time, and if you make 1 mistake, then you die. I managed to get to 5 AM on my first attempt and 4 AM on my second, but then died at 2 AM.
Oh, come on, man.
So, fun fact, although Nightmare is harder than Fredbear, Nightmare can only do 2 fake laughs per night. So once they're gone, they're done. They're not coming back. And I didn't really use this info because I bet it on my next attempt, but it will become helpful later, so just remember that.
Oh, let's go. Night 6, baby. Oh, can you hear me? You're broken. We are still your friends. Why did Foxy leave then? Is he not your friend? Chica's gone now. Oh, hell no. Ain't no way, they're just leaving him, bro. I'm still here. And then they just dip and leave him on his own. Okay, that's a bit mean, isn't it? It's the infamous box. Is there like a secret code? Like a secret way to... Like you have to flip it this way, this way, this way, this way? I didn't read the text.
So, when I said I would give Pokemon 100 gifted if I were to proceed to another FNaF game, I made an exception. This was that I could play Into the Pit. Why? Well, when I started this challenge, it was back in July, and I wanted to 100% it before Into the Pit came out. However, 420 mode was so hard that Into the Pit came out during my attempts. So I put FNaF 4 aside and allowed myself the exception to play Into the Pit, because it was new and hyped up. I eventually returned to FNaF 4 about 2 months later. We don't talk about it. But I came back more determined to win. So I decided to watch The Bones 5 and Ambience religiously to understand it, but that couldn't get me past. Until eventually I found a guy by the name Brayden. Brayden's strategy is so good that it practically makes 420 mode look like a joke, and makes it as easy as night 4 and all of that without even closing a single door. So the way it works is to do this strat, you need a timer. Once you load in, flash the bed until 8 seconds on your timer. Once it hits 10 seconds, run to the left side and flash the hall. Run back, then flash the bed until 18 seconds. At 20 seconds, run to the right, flash and go back to the bed. And repeat this process until 4 AM. Sometimes Foxy will run to a hall at a 10-second interval. If he does this, just go to the side he is on, flash, then go back to the bed until 8 seconds. Flash the opposite hall and continue the pattern. And because of how quick you get rid of Bonnie and Chica, you have 0 risk of death, even if you decide to double back to the side for Foxy. This strat works because of the checkerboard nature of the FNaF 4 map. Bonnie and Chica can never be at your door at 0 to 5 second intervals unless you force them to fail movements by being at the door. Because of this, you can always flash the halls if you arrive at the door during 0 to 5 intervals. Now, I don't know how people find strategies like this, and even though I died a couple times using it, I definitely found it easier than any other strategy out there.
Let's go. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I just did it. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I wasn't even intending of beating it that time.
So because you made it this far into the video, I suppose you must like it somewhat, so consider going down below this video to like and subscribe,
but also think about sharing this video to friends and family because it helps me out a lot. But anyways, once you beat night 8, you will unlock the extras menu and also another star. But in the extras menu, you will find the challenges tab. And if you beat a night with 1 active, then you get 1 star. If you beat a night with 3 active, you can potentially get 1 to 3 stars, depending on the order you beat them. Now, most of these just make the timing difficult, but one challenge makes it so much more harder than that. But I will go into that later on. This is, in my opinion, the easiest of the 4 challenges to master, and I will be doing easiest to hardest. This challenge mode has you face off with Nightmare until 6 AM, and it is purely skill with a small amount of luck involved. Now, earlier I said to remember that Nightmare only fake laughs twice per night, and this makes it so much more easier to track because Nightmare will normally do 2 real laughs before 3 AM. And he also has a real laugh every 20 seconds, so if it's between 20 seconds of the last laugh, then it will be fake. So that's all with the fake laughing mechanics. And with Nightmare, I recommend just not using your flashlight in the hallways because you will die 90% of the time. And if he has a real laugh, then check bed first, then check closet. This is because the bed is quicker to check.
Yes! Oh, baby. Oh my gosh. Let's go! Ooh, yeah.
Now, before I continue, I want to talk about Plush Trap. I hope you remember Plush Trap because this time it's slightly different. Now, we don't see Plush Trap, but instead we see Nightmare BB. You know, the fat one. And he's the same as Plush Trap, but harder. With BB, you need to listen for 1 walk, then 1 scurry, then 1 walk, then once the second scurry begins, you want to immediately wait 2 seconds. This will catch BB on the X 80% of the time, and if you miss, then you want to add half a second to the wait time for each time you flash, and scare him away, just like this. So this is where ambience really kicks in and starts helping. Firstly, Insta Foxy isn't hard because he will spawn in the closet immediately and you just check Foxy, then Bonnie and Chica, then Freddy and repeat. But with Mad Freddy, you become really tight on time, especially with Insta Foxy active. But with Mad Freddy, the Freddles will give you a lot less time before they attack. So you want to flash them quite often, and I recommend doing Bonnie, Chica, then Freddy, but if Foxy gets into your closet, the ambience strategy suggests you check Foxy, then Freddy, then Bonnie and Chica, then Freddy again. With each cycle you should check Freddy twice. On paper it does seem easy.
Let's go, baby. That should be the star this time. Hopefully it is. If it isn't, then I'm gonna cry.
But with the next challenge, it downright becomes nearly impossible. You read that right, I'm doing it blind. Firstly, I know you guys might be thinking, oh, it's FNaF 4, you mostly live off audio anyways, but that's not the problem. Yes, you're right, but you're forgetting one major thing. Coordination. If you get lost and think you're at the bed, but instead at the closet, then you will die, and there is no recovering that run. In order to beat this, you need to understand the map layout perfectly and land your cursor on the movement hitbox every single time. I ended up deciding to do Blind All Nightmare first because it was mostly skill, and I did end up dying a few times. But after 15 or so minutes, I started to learn the map layout, and I got it very quickly after learning that.
Let's go, baby. Oh, I just did blind mode, not Nightmare. Oh, look at that. Oh, we are 1 game away now. Oh, and then I can move on to a new game. Ugh. Now I've got to complete the game.
This, in my opinion, is the worst combination of challenges ever. Blind, Insta Foxy, Mad Freddy, all at once. Not only do you have to survive 3 hours of tight timing and movement, but also 2 hours of Nightmare after 4 AM with 2 fake laughs. This is probably top 10 worst challenges I have ever done,
and it even resulted in me taking more time off from FNaF 4 and returning back to it in December, almost 6 months after I started FNaF 4. On screen, I have been showing attempts without blind mode because you just can't watch this. Like, what is that? But since there isn't much to talk about this night, aside from how torturous it was, here was my final reaction to beating it.
Yes! Oh my gosh. Yes! Let's go! Oh my gosh. That's every single star. That is FNaF 4 complete.
So, after I saved myself $500 and wasted 15 hours of my life, I ask of you to like and subscribe and share with others, and I will see you guys later. Goodbye.